Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up! Today we're going a wild ride for history, where the cars had more personality than horsepower and reliability was a luxury. It all started a long time ago, before Cybertrucks existed. While the US had their Chevys and Fords, Eastern Europe had its own classics, like the Zastava 750 and the Wartburg 311. But let's start from the beginning. Many countries in Eastern Europe had their own car manufacturing, often with multiple notable companies, so I'll only be talking about one or two per country. Most of these companies either went bankrupt or were bought out sooner or later. So let's dive in. First on our list is the former Soviet Union, where cars were built to survive Siberian winters, but often ended up being sold to a friend of a factory supervisor for 3 bottles of the finest potato beverage. One of the most notable brands was GAZ, which is short for Gorovsky Automobilny Zavod, founded in 1932 in Nizhny Novgorod. The first cars manufactured were the passenger GAZ A and the GAZ AA truck. Both were based on the Ford Model A and Model AA respectively. Then the war happened. And during this time, the factory focused on assembling Chevrolet trucks from the US under Lend-Lease. After the war, GAZ returned to regular operations, making passenger cars and trucks, including the GAZ M20 Pobeda, which means victory or victorious, I don't remember, which was also produced under different names in other Eastern Bloc countries, like the Warszawa in Poland. Notably, there were the GAZ-21 and GAZ-24, known in many countries as the Volga. The Volga was the subject of urban legends, where a black version of the car was allegedly used to kidnap people. The details of the legend varied by country, but the Volga was often the common factor. The GAZ-24 came with either a 2.5-liter inline-4 engine, paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, or a 5.5-liter V8, which could be paired with either the manual or a 3-speed automatic. In modern times, GAZ has shifted focus. In November 2000, it was taken over by Sibal, and by March 2003, GAZ declared the production of passenger cars was no longer a priority. In 2011, GAZ signed a long-term contract with the Russian division of Volkswagen Group. Next on the list is AvtoVAZ, also known as Lada. Introduced in 1973, it initially made cars based on Fiats. The most notable model would be the VAZ 2105, also known as the Lada Riva, Lada Nova, or Lada Classic series. It was based on the Fiat 124, and is the world's third best-selling single-generation automobile platform after the Volkswagen Beetle and the Ford Model T. It was produced up until 2012 in most countries or even 2015 in Egypt. Another notable car from this company is the Lada Niva. It's a series of four-wheel drive off-road cars designed and produced by AvtoVAZ since 1977, and is still in production. It comes with 1.6, 1.7 or 1.8 liter petrol inline-4 engines, or 1.9 liter diesel, with or without turbocharging. It was paired with a 4-speed manual until 1993 and a 5-speed from 1993 onwards. Now it's time for my favorite car on the list, the rear-wheel drive village drifting monster made in Poland from 1978, the FSO Polonez, specifically made in Warsaw by FSO, which stands for Fabryka Samochodów Osobowych, meaning factory of passenger cars. The Polonez was created as a replacement for the Fiat 125P and was designed by Fiat but to specifications and norms imposed by FSO. The first model was strongly based on its predecessor, inheriting its flaws like the underpowered engine and a large turn radius. But the car was made to be safe first and everything else second. The introduction of the Polonez was supposed to happen in 2 stages. Stage 1, start producing a car based on the slightly modernized 125P. And Stage 2, begin producing new overhead cam engines under a license from Fiat, make some changes to the suspension and increase production to around 160,000 units per year. Unfortunately, the project never reached Stage 2. Although preparations were made for building an engine manufacturing plant, ultimately the engine from a Fiat 125P was used and slightly modernized over the years. In 1983, the Polonez received its first major facelift, giving it a more powerful engine and, most importantly, a rubber spoiler. Then, in 1987, it had a second major facelift, introducing a 1.6 liter engine making 87 horsepower, with even a version featuring a turbocharger. Another facelift followed in 1993. These are the engines available up to this point. And finally, there came the 2 best generations, the MR91 and MR93. The car's body was overhauled. It received a middle muffler, different headlights, electric front windows, remote central locking, and an audio system. Later there even came a rally version of the Polonez homologated for Group 4, Group 2 and even Group B. It used some parts for a 131 Abarth and a double overhead camshaft dual carb engine making 180 horsepower with a 0 to 60 time of around 6 seconds. It debuted in Monte Carlo in 1979. The Polonez section is kind of long, so I'll just mention another Polish car manufacturer, FSM, which stands for Fabryka Samochodów Małoolitrażowych, meaning Low Engine Displacement Car Factory. They made a Fiat on a license, the Polski Fiat 126P. It was cheap, compact and a simple car, popular for its practicality. And now we head to Czechoslovakia, now Czechia and Slovakia. Here the most prominent car manufacturer was Skoda Auto, and still is, named after Emil Skoda. Initially an arms manufacturing company, Skoda acquired car company Loring and Clement in 1925 and continued their production under a new name. In 1932, Skoda created the prototype Skoda 932, a 4-seater two-door car with an air-cooled flat-4 engine mounted in the rear. This car was ahead of its time, but only one was ever made. In the 1930s, following an economic depression, they introduced a new line of cars with all-around independent suspension, including models named Popular, Favorite, and Superb. During World War II, Skoda became a part of German industrial conglomerate, aiding the war effort. From 1940 to 1945, Allied air raid repeatedly targeted German factories, including Skoda Works, leading to near-total destruction. Post-war, the factory was reconstructed and car production resumed with updated pre-war models until the 1960s, when Skoda released new models like the Octavia and Felicia. The Felicia was exported to the US, but American buyers who could buy larger domestic V8 cars for the same price were not impressed by the smaller and less powerful Skoda. Reliability issues further hindered its success in the US market. After the fall of communism in the 1990s, Skoda was acquired by the Volkswagen Group, improving production quality and allowing Skoda to remain a significant player in the European market. Another prominent Czechoslovakian car manufacturer was Tatra, founded in 1850, initially making wagons and carriages. Tatra started producing cars in 1897. One of Tatra's most iconic models was the Tatra 77, introduced in 1934. It was the world's first serial-produced car with an aerodynamic body, making it look like something out of a sci-fi movie. The 77 had a rear-mounted air-cooled V8 engine, a distinctive feature of the Tatra cars. Post-World War II, Tatra continues its tradition of unique engineering with the Tatra 87, known for its exceptional performance and reliability in extreme conditions, including expeditions to Africa and the Arctic. This car was favored by explorers and caught the eye of famous personalities like Erwin Rommel. In the 1950s and 60s, Tatra produced the T603, a luxury car often used by Communist Party officials. With its smooth curves and rear-mounted V8 engine and spacious interior, the T603 was a symbol of prestige and power. Tatra also made heavy-duty trucks, known for their robustness and ability to handle rough terrain. These trucks were also used all over Eastern Bloc and beyond, earning Tatra a reputation for engineering excellence. Despite their innovative designs and solid engineering, Tatra cars struggled in the global market due to political and economic constraints of the Eastern Bloc. However, Tatra trucks continued to be successful and are still produced today, maintaining their reputation for durability and off-road capability. Next on the list is half of a country split in half by a wall, serving as a barrier between capitalist Western Europe and communist East. This country is, of course, East Germany. Despite the political problems, it produced some of Europe's most unforgettable cars. There are two main cars that gained cult-like following. First, the Trabant, produced by VEB. I will not even try to pronounce that correctly. The first Trabant, the P50, rolled off the assembly line in 1957. It was designed to be affordable and simple, with a body made of Duraplast, a type of plastic reinforced with recycled materials like cotton waste and resins. This gave the Trabant an iconic lightweight structure that was surprisingly durable. It also doesn't rust or burn. The car's low weight allowed the engineers to use a two-stroke engine with a displacement of 499cc, later increased to 594cc. There was also a version with an 1-liter inline-4 4-stroke engine available during the last year of the car's production. Around 3.1 million Trabants were produced. The second great East German car was the Wartburg, produced by Automobilwerk Eisenach, named after the Wartburg Castle in Eisenach. The Wartburg line began in 1956 with the 311 model. Featuring a 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine, this engine, although not very powerful, was reliable and easy to maintain, making the Wartburg popular among East Germans. The 311 was succeeded by the Wartburg 353 in 1966, which became the most iconic model. The 353, often referred to as the Wartburg Knight, featured a boxy design that maximized interior space and practicality. It retained the 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine mated to a 4-speed manual transmission and was known for its durability. It made around 45 horsepower, later increased to 50. Compared to the Trabant, the Wartburg was more refined, offering a smoother ride and better build quality. It was considered a step up in the East German automotive market. Wartburgs were also exported to other countries within the Eastern Bloc and even some Western countries. And now time for the next country, Romania, and their most widely known brand, Dacia. From the beginning, this company had a close relationship with Renault. The first model, the Dacia 1100, was essentially a rebadged Renault 8. However, it was the Dacia 1300 based on the Renault 12 that became an icon. Introduced in 1969, the 1300 was known for its simple design, ease of maintenance and durability. The car was versatile, available in multiple body styles, including sedan, estate and hatchback. It came with different overhead valve inline-4 engines with 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 and 1.6 liters of displacement, making from 48 to 72 horsepower. Over the years, Dacia continued to evolve, producing a range of vehicles. Despite the challenges of the communist era, Dacia cars were a common sight on Romanian roads. In the post-communist era, Dacia entered a new chapter after being acquired by Renault in 1999. Their partnership revitalized the brand, leading to the creation of successful models like Dacia Logan and Dacia Duster, which gained popularity not only in Eastern Europe but also in Western markets. Next on the list is Yugoslavia with their Zastava. In the beginning, they were producing military equipment. In 1954, Zastava bought a license for the production of Fiats and started with the 1900 and 1400 models. Zastava brand cars were quite popular in the Eastern Bloc countries, but only one model was sold in the US, where it was unofficially dubbed the worst car of all time by many automotive reviewers, the Yugo GV. It was exported in 1985 and 1991 and was one of the cheapest cars money could buy at the time, although for a reason. All trim levels, with the exception of GV Plus, had a 1.1 liter carbureted engine, known for its unreliability. It was common for it to overheat, blow up, or just not start at all. And even if it did work, for once it was barely powerful enough to even go on slight inclines, not even mentioning going at highway speeds. The electrical system also left a lot to be desired, as it was as prone to failure as the engine, if not even more. As for the upsides of the car, it had heated rear windows, some say to keep your hands warm when you push it. It even had an option of including AC and radio if you wanted. And there you have it, folks. A journey through classic cars of Eastern Europe, from the rugged terrain conquering Lada Niva and the iconic Trabant to the utilitarian charm of the Dacia 1300. These vehicles were more than just modes of transportation. They were symbols of resilience and mostly reflected the spirit of the countries they came from. These cars and buses may not have had sleek designs or cutting-edge technology of their Western counterparts, but they had character and a unique charm that won the hearts of millions. They tell a story of a different era, where necessity was the mother of invention, and every ride was an adventure, whether you like it or not. It doesn't matter if you're a car enthusiast, a history buff, or someone who just loves a good story, the legacy of these Eastern European vehicles is one worth celebrating. So next time you see a classic Skoda, a beloved Trabant, or a video of a Polonez going sideways at the first sight of snow, take a moment to appreciate the history and the people behind these remarkable machines. This is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, you can subscribe to get a notification when I upload next. See you next time.